Whenever I come to BobFest, I'm in the zone. I mean, I totally change. I morph into something else. Being around all these progressives from not only the state of Wisconsin, but from other places around the United States. Why? Because Fighting Bob LaFollette is a part of a real proud tradition that we have in this state. And we know what we need to do in November. We have to remember that under Fighting Bob LaFollette, we started having respect for people who went to work every day. Workers' comp and unemployment compensation and the civil service came out of this great Wisconsin idea. The birth of AFSCME, the union, the American Federation of State and County and Municipal Employees. Are you out there, AFSCME? We will never forget the bloodshed in Milwaukee, the Bayview tragedy, where 7 people gave up their lives on behalf of the 8-hour workday. This is Wisconsin. This is the Wisconsin idea. This is the state where Joshua Glover, a slave, was dragged into jail in Milwaukee, but the citizens of Milwaukee tore down the doors of the jail and freed Joshua Glover. This is the state. There was a stop, a major stop on the Underground Railroad. This is one of the first states to pass a state equal right amendment. This is a state, that's right, where the first State Family Medical Leave Act was passed before the Federal Medical Leave Act was passed right here in Wisconsin. First state to pass an anti-discrimination against the disabled law right here in Wisconsin. A place where Earth Day, respect of our environment, the environmental movement and Earth Day that's practiced and celebrated all over the world began right here in Wisconsin. Hey, it's a place where Ezekiel Gillespie, a member of the St. Mark's African Methodist Episcopal Church, sued the state of Wisconsin and became the first African American that was able to vote in the state of Wisconsin. It's a place where there's a strong presence of Lutheran citizens that brought our allies from Vietnam, the Hmong people, to Wisconsin so that they could have a better life and escape oppression over in Thailand. This is the Wisconsin that we all love. This is a place where the John Birch Society was born. It's a place where the Republican Party was born. Although I maintain they had some better Republicans back in the day than they do today. They didn't have Karl Rove wasn't alive then. Let me tell you something, folks. Here is a state that has a lot of mixed history. So when you hear folks talking about we ain't got no blue states and we ain't got no red states, they didn't hear about Wisconsin. This is a purple state. And I ain't talking about Barney either. We're all mixed up in here, and I'm telling you, we barely escaped the humiliation of affirming George W. Bush in the last 2 elections. I want to remind you all, in 2000, while all of the talk was about Chads and Florida and what was happening there, that George W. Bush barely lost this state by only 5,000 votes. In 2004, when John Kerry was running, he beat George W. Bush by a mere 10 or 11,000 votes. That is too close for comfort. Hey, y'all, we got to get on the ball. We have got to get on the ball. that they don't take this election away from us. Because if it's close, you know they're going to steal it. You already know that. Now I know some of you are saying, oh my God, there goes one of those partisans on the stage. This might be a good time to go get a beer. This might be a good time to go take a potty break. This may even be a better time to support the vendors here and go buy myself a t-shirt. Because after all, I'm above those partisan politics. I mean, I'm just so progressive that I can't vote for no Democrats. I'm just kind of beyond that. I'm gonna, vote for some independent. You better get on the ball. You better listen to what I'm saying today. Hey, I want to remind you that we're engaged in a quagmire in Iraq, where we're spending $10 billion a month on a war where our opponents want to see no end to it. That's all they know. Any and everything we can hear about John McCain is his wonderful story. I thought it was a wonderful story to hear the gory details of his capture and captivity for 5 years. I just want him to be free someday. I want him to I want him to get beyond that. For the last 8 years, we've seen a redistribution of wealth away from all of the middle class and working class and the no class to the wealthy, to corporations. Some of them chartered in, guess where? Delaware, that don't pay any taxes. We've had no health care reform, and 47 million Americans and growing are still without health care. I want to remind you all how important it is to get on the ball, because we just barely passed a health care provision expanding veterans benefits for veterans. And when we tried to pass the most ambitious GI Bill for our veterans, our men and women who are out there dying and fighting for us, no matter what you think of the war, hey, John McCain said it was just too generous. We didn't need to be spending that much money. That's right. We couldn't even expand health care for children under this administration and with this Republican-controlled Congress. I want to remind all of you progressives that don't want to play partisan politics, I want you to get on the ball. Get on the ball this year. Don't let this slip away from us. I want to remind you of the saber rattling against Iran. I want to remind you of the tough talk with Russia, leading us into another Cold War. I want to remind you of how they want to destroy the environment and have us drill in Anwar. We're the home of the environmental movement right here in Wisconsin. And they want to destroy 250 species of birds and animals in the Anwar region. I want to remind you of days gone by when gas cost $1.40 a gallon. And now, in some places, it's $5 a gallon. I want to remind you to get on the ball. I want to remind you of the mortgage crisis that was caused by criminal neglect and no regulation. I want to remind you all about the greed and the avarice and the billions of dollars that have gone into these Enron-like scams that will probably go unpunished. I want to remind you of all the weapons of mass destruction and the outing of Valerie Plame and the presidential pardon that came along with it. I want to remind you of the FISA bill that contravenes our freedom. We got to fight back, everybody. We're right here